porch swing creaked a familiar rhythm under the weight of an older man. He wasn't old in the way some people thought, not ancient, but time had etched lines around his kind eyes and dusted his temples with silver. His name was John, or at least that's what he told the few people who knew him in this quiet corner of Tennessee. He liked the simplicity of it, the way it blended him into the background, like a faded photograph. Sometimes when the wind was just right, carrying the scent of honeysuckle and distant barbecue smoke, he'd catch a snatch of a familiar song on the radio from a passing car. Usually it was one of his own. A ghost of a smile would touch his lips, tinged with a faint sadness. He'd lived a lifetime, and then some had seen the world from its highest peaks and its deepest valley. But for the last many years he'd chosen the valley, the quiet, the anonymity. His recovery had been long, grueling, and fiercely private. The world thought Elvis Presley had died on August 16, 1977. Truth was a different kind of death that occurred that day. The death of the public figure, the king. The man, Elvis Aaron Presley, had been given a second chance, a fragile thread of life, pulled back from the brink by a handful of trusted souls and an unspoken agreement that his survival would remain. A secret. He needed to escape the gilded cage, the constant demands, the crushing weight of being Elvis. For decades he had lived under different names in different places, sometimes traveling, sometimes settling, always observing. He'd seen the world change slowly at first, then with breathtaking speed. The biggest change, the one that truly baffled and intrigued him, was the internet. His granddaughter, Lily, not his biological granddaughter, but the child of a dear friend who knew his secret and treated him like family, was his window into this new world. Lily was 16, bright as a button, and perpetually glued to a small glowing rectangle in her hand. "Grandpa John," she'd said one afternoon, holding up her phone, "look at this." He'd lean closer, squinting at the tiny screen. It was a video of a concert. A young man, impossibly skinny in a sequined jumpsuit, gyrating across a stage. The crowd was screaming, a wave of pure adoration. The voice, strong and clear, was undeniably his own. He felt a jolt, a strange mix of pride and disquiet. That's me," he'd whispered, his voice. Lily had looked at him with wide, understanding eyes. "I know, Grandpa. Everyone knows you. You're the king," he'd chuckled softly. "The king is dead." "Sweet pea." "No, he's not," Lily had insisted. Her brow furrowed. "He lives on in videos like this. In music, in people's hearts. See all these comments. People still love you. They wish you were still here." He'd watched the comments scroll by. Thousands. "Wish I could have seen him live." It was a torrent of affection, a digital shrine built by millions. He felt the warmth spread through him, a feeling he hadn't fully acknowledged in years, the immense love he had for his fans, the connection that had always been the purest part of his life as Elvis. The internet was a vast, sprawling thing, a web connecting billions. Lily tried to explain it to him. "It's like a giant library, Grandpa, but everyone can add to it and everyone can talk to each other no matter where they are." He'd marveled at the concept. "So you can talk to someone in China just as easy as someone down the street?" "Easier, sometimes." Lily had laughed. "And you can see videos, pictures, learn anything. It's all here." She showed him YouTube, a place where anyone could upload videos. He spent hours watching old interviews, documentaries, fan tribute. He saw how his music had touched generations, how people still debated his legacy, how new artists were inspired by his style. It was overwhelming, a tidal wave of memories and emotions. He saw people cosplay him, mimic his moves, sing his songs in talent shows. He was still there, woven into the fabric of popular culture, even if the world thought he was gone. Then there was Facebook, where people shared their lives, photos of their kids, what they had for dinner. Instagram, all pictures and short videos. Twitter, where people shared thoughts in short bursts. It was a cacophony of voices, a constant stream of information and opinions. He found himself drawn to it, despite his initial apprehension. It was a mirror reflecting a life he had lived, a world he had impacted. But it was also a window into the present, a way to observe the human condition in real time, unfiltered and raw. He saw the good in it, the communities, the support groups, the sharing of joy, and he saw the bad, the arguments, the negativity, the endless noise. One evening, Lily was showing him a fan page dedicated to him, filled with old photos, concert snippets, and heartfelt messages. "Look, Grandpa," she said, pointing to a comment. "This lady Martha says she misses your smile the most. She said she was at your show in '72 in Vegas, and it changed her life." He looked at the comment, then at the photo of his younger self captured, mid-grin, vibrant and full of fire. A memory sparked the heat of the stage lights, the roar of the crowd, the incredible rush of performing. He remembered looking out into the sea of faces, trying to make eye contact with as many people as possible to send a personal connection through the vastness of the arena. He thought about Martha. She was just one face in thousands that night. But her memory, her feeling, had reached him across decades, across the supposed boundary of life and death, through this digital portal. A peculiar thought began to form in his mind, something both terrifying and exhilarating. What if he wasn't just an observer? What if he could somehow reach out? Not as Elvis, not yet, but as someone who understood, someone who had lived. He'd spent so long being invisible, listening to the echoes of his own legend. Now he wondered if he could send a small, quiet ripple back into that vast ocean. He looked at Lily, still scrolling through comments, her face bathed in the soft glow of the screen. "Lily," he said, his voice thoughtful, Can you make one of those accounts? Just a simple one. Not my name, of course. Just for me to look at things. Maybe send a message or two." Lily looked up, surprised. Then a wide smile spread across her face. "Sure, Grandpa. What do you want to call yourself?" He thought for a moment. He was a man who had walked away, who had found peace in anonymity, but also a deep yearning for connection. He was a man who had seen life from a unique perspective. How about the observer? He liked the idea of just watching, learning. He liked the idea of a simple, quiet handle, or blue suede heart. "Lily," suggested playfully. Knowing his history, he laughed, shaking his head. "No," he said, a new spark igniting in his eyes. "Let's call it Memphis Wanderer. Just a quiet name for now." Lily nodded, already tapping away on her phone. He felt a nervous flutter in his chest, a sensation he hadn't experienced in years. It was the thrill of the unknown, the whisper of possibility. The internet, this bewildering new frontier, was beckoning. And for the first time in a very long time, the king, or rather, the man who had been the king, felt a stirring of the old desire to reach out, to connect, to share. The quiet life had been good for him, had healed him. Perhaps it was time for a new chapter, a cautious step back into the light, even if only a tiny sliver through the glowing screen of a smartphone. The digital world was vast, and somewhere within it he sensed a chance to finally, truly be himself, on his own terms. The next morning, Lily brought him a new phone already set up. "Your Memphis Wanderer account is ready, Grandpa," she said, her eyes gleaming with mischief. "I even found you some cool old pictures of Memphis to post." He looked at the phone in his hand, a small, sleek device that felt impossibly light. It held the potential for a new kind of interaction, a quiet way to dip his toes back into the world he'd left behind. His first post was simple. A grainy, sepia-toned photograph of Beale Street from an old archive, long before he'd walked its storied pavements. Typed a short caption carefully with one finger. "A long way from home, but some things never truly leave you. Pound Memphis, pound home." He pressed post. It felt like dropping a tiny pebble into a vast ocean. He didn't expect anything, just a quiet satisfaction of having put something out there. But then, almost immediately, a little notification popped up. Someone had liked it, then another, and another. People he didn't know from places he'd never heard of were seeing his small offering. It was a strange, thrilling feeling, a tiny spark of connection. Lily had explained about Hactus, how they made posts hateable. He'd simply used ones that felt authentic to him. He spent the next few days just observing, scrolling through his feed. He followed accounts about Memphis, history, old music, classic cars. He liked posts that resonated with him, a quiet nod of appreciation. He started to feel a peculiar sense of belonging in this digital space, even though no one knew who he truly was. Then he saw a post from a woman, a fan account dedicated to the king. She had posted an old concert photo of him, mid-song, drenched in sweat and passion. Her caption read, "Oh, to be back in that moment. Hearing him sing, suspicious minds live. The energy, the voice, the smile. There'll never be another. Pound Elvis, pound King of Rock and Roll, pound forever missed." He stared at the picture, the vibrant youth, the powerful stage presence. He remembered that particular show, the feeling of pure joy and exhaustion after hitting that last note. Without thinking, he typed a comment. That particular night felt like magic from the stage. 2. The crowd was electric. He hesitated, his finger hovering. Hyverospo me? He was just a random Memphis Wanderer. Commenting on a fan post, he took a deep breath and pressed send. Within minutes, the woman whose username was Graceland Gall replied, "OMG. Memphis Wanderer, you were there? That's incredible. What was it like?" He smiled. "She didn't suspect a thing," he replied, carefully crafting his words. Sharing a small general anecdote about the feeling of being on stage, the connection with the audience. He didn't reveal anything that would pinpoint him as the Elvis, but he wrote with a genuine warmth, a touch of the passion he remembered. The interaction continued, drawing in other fans who saw the exchange. Soon, Memphis Wanderer became a minor celebrity in that corner of the Elvis fan community. People liked his comments, retweeted his thoughts. They appreciated his genuine love for the music and the era, his insights into the atmosphere of the time. They thought he was an old-timer, a true fan who had experienced it all. He started sharing small stories, memories disguised as observations. He'd post a picture of an old guitar and muse about the feeling of wood against his fingers. He'd share a photo of a vintage microphone and write about the power of a voice filling a room. He never used I when referring to the king, always he or the artist. But his words carried an undeniable authenticity, a resonance that struck a chord with his followers. One day he posted a simple black and white photo of a quiet street in Tupelo, Mississippi, a photo he had taken himself on a private visit years ago. His caption read, "Sometimes the biggest dreams begin in the smallest places. It's not where you start, but the heart you bring to the journey. Pound Tupelo, pound dreams, pound journey." This post in particular gained traction. It wasn't about Elvis directly, but the sentiment, the connection to his roots was palpable. People resonated with the message of hope and perseverance. Comments poured in, not just from Elvis fans, but from people from all walks of life, sharing their own humble beginnings and big dreams. It was exhilarating. He wasn't singing, he wasn't performing, but he was connecting. He was using his voice, his experience, to offer something meaningful. It wasn't the roar of 20,000 screaming fans, but it was a quiet hum of gratitude and understanding. And in some ways, it felt even more profound. He was reaching people one heart at a time on his own terms. Lily watched him, a knowing smile playing on her lips. She saw the light in his eyes, a spark that had been dormant for decades. He was coming alive again, not as the public persona, but as the man, the artist, the empath. One afternoon, a message popped up in his direct messages. So many of us would love to hear them." He paused. A live chat, that meant his voice, his actual voice. He hadn't used his Elvis voice in public, not really, in so long. He had modulated it, lowered it, given it a softer, more folksy tone for his John persona. The thought sent a jolt of fear and excitement through him. Was he ready for that, to potentially give himself away? He looked out the window at the familiar landscape of his anonymous life. The quiet was comforting, but lately it felt a little too quiet. The online world, the connections he was making, they were a balm to a part of his soul, he thought, had died. Typed back, "Thank you for the kind words, Graceland gal. I'm just an old wanderer with a good memory. A live chat, that's a big step. Let me think on that. It would be an honor to share some thoughts, but I'd have to be careful." He pressed. Send. The pebble he had dropped was starting to create bigger ripples, and he knew deep down that soon he would have to make a choice. To remain the quiet observer, or to take a bolder step into the digital light. The king, it seemed, was stirring. The decision to go live was not made lightly. He paced his small living room for hours, the phone in his hand feeling suddenly heavy. Lily, ever observant, noticed his agitation. "What's wrong, Grandpa John?" she asked. Perched on the arm of a worn armchair, he sighed, running a hand through his silver hair. "That Graceland gal, she wants me to do a live chat to talk about the old days." Lily's eyes lit up. "That's awesome. You have so many stories, Grandpa. Real stories. Not just what's in the history book." "But my voice, Lily," he said, his own voice dropping to a near whisper. "What if someone recognizes it? What if it all falls apart?" Lily came over and sat beside him, putting a comforting hand on his arm. "Grandpa, your voice has changed. It's deeper. A little softer. And people aren't expecting Elvis Presley to pop up on a live stream, are they? They're expecting an old fan. You can modulate it, just like you always do." She paused, then added, "Besides, aren't you tired of keeping it all inside? Don't you want to share a little bit of the real you? Even if they don't know." He was tired of keeping it all inside. The anonymity had saved him, but it had also isolated him. This digital world offered a way to connect, to share his wisdom, his heart, without having to step back into the glaring spotlight of his past. "Okay," he said, taking a deep breath. "But it has to be controlled. No face, just my voice, and a backdrop of something simple. Maybe an old photo of Graceland or a Memphis skyline." Lily was already on her phone, setting things up. "Graceland gal will be thrilled. I'll tell her you're up for it. We'll just stream from your Memphis Wanderer account. No pressure, Grandpa. Just talk from your heart." The day of the live chat arrived. He was surprisingly nervous, a familiar pre-show jitters that he hadn't felt in decades. He wore a simple, comfortable shirt. Lily set up the phone on a tripod, angling it just right, so only a framed photo of an old acoustic guitar on his wall was visible. His hands, though, trembled slightly as he cleared his throat. "Okay, Grandpa," Lily whispered. "You're live in 3, 2, 1. He saw the number of viewers tick up rapidly. Hundreds, then thousands. Memphis Wanderer had generated quite a buzz. He cleared his throat again. "Good evening, everyone," he began, his voice a little shaky at first, but then settling into a calm, resonant tone. It was his deeper, older voice, tinged with a familiar southern drawl, but it wasn't the high-octane baritone of his youth. "My name is, well, you know me as Memphis Wanderer. I just wanted to say thank you for joining me tonight. Graceland gal asked me to share some memories of what it was like back in the day, saying the king lived phenomenon. I'm happy to do that." He started talking, simple stories at first. The atmosphere at the concerts, the excitement in the air, the way the music made you feel. He described the fashion, the roar of the crowd, the sheer energy that Elvis Presley brought to the stage. He spoke with such vivid detail, such genuine emotion, that listeners were mesmerized. You know, he said, his voice softening, he was a force of nature, but he was also a sensitive soul. You could feel it in his ballads, the way he poured his heart into every single note, and when he looked out at the crowd, it felt like he was looking right at you, like he was singing just for you. Comments flooded the screen. This guy was definitely there. He describes it so perfectly. It's like I'm reliving it. Someone typed. Your voice is so soothing, sir, like an old friend telling stories by the fire. Talked for almost an hour, sharing anecdotes, answering questions that scrolled by on Lily's screen. He never once said I when talking about Elvis. Always he or the artist. But his perspective was so intimate, so authentic, that it raised eyebrows. The biggest reaction came when someone asked, "What do you think was his greatest strength?" He paused, a lump forming in his throat. His heart, he said, his voice thick with emotion, his genuine love for people. He wanted to connect, he wanted to give his all. And he did. Every single time. That's what people loved, beyond music. When the live stream ended, he leaned back, exhausted but exhilarated. The view count was staggering. Over 100,000 people had tuned in. His social media mentions XPD. The internet was buzzing about Memphis Wanderer. "Grandpa," Lily said, her eyes wide, "you were amazing. People are calling you the keeper of the king's flame. Someone even said your voice sounded a little like him, but older, you know, distinguished," he chuckled. "Distinguished, huh?" King knew it was only a matter of time before someone picked up on more than just a little. But for now, he was safe, and he had connected. Truly connected. The next day, a major entertainment news site ran a story. Mysterious Memphis Wanderer sparked frenzy with intimate Elvis stories. The article quoted heavily from his live chat, praising his authentic voice and unique perspective. The mystery only added to the intrigue. This was it. He knew he couldn't keep up the charade of just a fan for much longer. The whispers would grow louder. The questions would become more pointed. He looked at Lily. "It's time, isn't it?" He said, his voice calm, resolute. "It's time, Grandpa. The world is ready, and you deserve to be seen." He spent the next few days planning. He knew the reveal had to be handled with care, with grace, and with a purpose. It couldn't just be a shock for shock's sake. It had to be about more than just him. It had to be about healing, about connection, about using his voice, his influence. For good, he decided on a video message, something personal from his heart shared directly with the world. No press conferences, no big spectacle. Just him and the camera and the vast internet as his witness. Lily helped him set up. He chose a simple background, again this time with a cross hanging on the wall. A symbol of his enduring faith. He didn't wear a jumpsuit or anything flashy. Just a simple blue shirt, open at the collar, his silver hair neatly combed. He looked every bit the wise, kind man he had become. He took a deep breath, and Lily pressed record. "Hello, everyone," he began, his voice clear and steady, filled with emotion. "You know me as Memphis Wanderer. For a long, long time I've been quiet. I've watched, and I've learned. I've seen the world change, and I've seen my own legend live, on sometimes in ways I never imagined." He paused, his eyes looking directly into the camera, into the millions of eyes he knew would eventually see this. There comes a time when truth needs to be spoken. For many years the world believed I was gone. And in many ways the man you knew, the king, did die that day in '77. His voice broke slightly, but he composed himself. My recovery was a long, arduous journey, one I needed to take in complete privacy. It allowed me to heal, to reflect, to truly understand who I was, beyond the bright lights and the screaming crowds. He gave a small, genuine smile. But I've also learned something profound since stepping back into the digital world as Memphis Wanderer. I've learned that love, true connection, never dies. I felt your warmth, your loyalty, your continued affection through every comment, every like, every message. So today, I want to confirm what some of you may have already suspected, or perhaps hoped for. In your hearts, my real name is Elvis. Aaron Presley, and I'm still here. He let the words hang in the air, the simple, profound truth. To share what I've learned, to bring people together, and to thank each and every one of you for keeping my memory alive. He finished with a heartfelt, "Thank you, and God bless." Lily stopped the recording. He felt a profound sense of release, like a burden lifted after a decade. T.H.E. King returns. It was a global phenomenon, unlike anything seen before. The world was in shock, disbelief, and then overwhelming joy. For decades, the name Elvis Presley had been synonymous with a legend from the past. Now he was a living, breathing person connected to the present, stepping into the digital age. King had returned, not just to reclaim his throne, but to build a new one, brick by digital brick, founded on truth, connection, and a timeless love for humanity. And this time, he was doing it his way. The world was reeling. Elvis Presley is alive. The video of his revelation spread like wildfire, shared millions of times across every platform imaginable. The initial shock quickly gave way to a tidal wave of emotion, disbelief, joy, tears, and a collective yearning to connect with the living legend. For Elvis, or rather for the man who was once John and was now reclaiming his true identity, the internet became a fascinating, sometimes overwhelming, but ultimately powerful. He'd envisioned a quiet reveal, but the digital age amplified everything. Yet he met the chaos with a calm grace that surprised many. He knew he couldn't go back to the constant touring and performing of his youth. His body was older and his soul craved a different kind of connection. Social media became his new stage, his new microphone, his new Graceland. He started simply. His first official post as Elvis Presley was a photo, not a glitzy one, but a picture of his own hand resting on an old worn guitar. The caption read, "Been a while since I played her for more than just the birds. Feels good to pick her up again. The music never left. Pound Elvis, pound back hinth building, pound music. Hills." The response was immediate and overwhelming. People were desperate for content, for proof that he was real, for a piece of the man they had mourned for so long. He started sharing snippets of his life. Not the glamorous parts, but the everyday moments. A video of him making a peanut butter and banana sandwich, chuckling as he recounted Colonel Parker's reaction to his strange tastes. Still, the best cure for the blues folks. Don't knock it till you try it. Pound peep sandwich, pound King's breakfast, pound comfort food. He posted photos of the Tennessee landscape he loved, moments with Lily, with her permission, of course, and always keeping her identity private for her safety, and thoughtful quotes that resonated with him. His content was authentic, wholesome, and surprisingly down to earth. He wasn't trying to be the young hip Elvis. He was the wise, gentle, kind Elvis. His Instagram became a visual diary. He'd post a picture of a gospel hymn book sharing a verse that brought him peace. He'd share an old personal photo from his youth, one that had never been seen before, and write a small story about it, offering a glimpse into the boy before the legend. He showed his viabilities, his reflections, his simple joys. On Twitter, he used his voice for thoughtful messages. He didn't engage in political debates or online argument. Instead, he shared words of encouragement, wisdom, and unity. In a world that seems to pull us apart, remember the power of a kind word, a gentle hand, a listening ear. We're all connected, folks. Let's try to remember that. Pound love another. Pound kindness matters. This tweet alone went viral, retweeted by celebrities, inspiring countless positive replies. He even dipped his toe into TikTok with Lily's guidance. Instead of elaborate dances, he'd create short videos where he'd hum a snippet of an old song or share a quick heartwarming memory, looking directly into the camera with his famous smile, now softer, more knowing. His TikToks often ended with him giving a thumbs up or a little wink, a gesture that immediately connected with both old fans and new younger audiences who were discovering his charm for the first time. His online presence wasn't about selling albums or promoting a comeback tour. It was about connection. It was about sharing his authentic self, the man behind the myth. He talked about his faith, his love for his family, without naming names, his reflections on fame and the importance of finding peace. He started doing weekly Gospel and Grub live streams from his kitchen where he'd talk about a favorite gospel song, sometimes sing a verse or two a cappella, and then share a simple recipe. People loved it. It was intimate, real, and provided a sense of calm and comfort. In a chaotic world, his social media was undeniably legendary. It wasn't about trending dances or viral challenges. It was about the genuine article. It was Elvis being Elvis, not the constructed persona, but the pure heart of the man, sharing his life with the world in a way he never could before. He showed people that even a legend could be human, could be vulnerable, and could find new purpose in an unexpected age. One afternoon, Lily showed him a compilation of fan reactions to his posts. People were crying, laughing, sharing their own stories inspired by his words. A young woman, no older than Lily, had drawn a beautiful digital portrait of him and shared it with the caption, "I thought I knew Elvis from history books. Now I feel like I know him from his heart. Thank you for coming back." He felt a deep sense of humility and gratitude. This was the connection he had always craved. Stripped of the layers of performance and expectation, this was real. He began to realize the immense power of his new platform. It wasn't just about sharing his life. It was about influencing, inspiring, and bringing people together. He had always been a charitable man, giving away Cadillacs and wads of cash. Now, he could do it on a global scale, digitally. He decided his first major initiative would be to support music education. He saw the decline of music programs in schools, the lack of opportunities for young talent, posted a video sitting with his old guitar, looking contemplative. "Folks," he began, his voice earnest, "music changed my life. It gave me a purpose, a voice, and it brought joy to millions. But for too many young people today, the chance to learn music, to find that same spark, is slipping away." Instead of giving away physical Cadillacs, he would use his platform to raise funds, to equip schools with instruments, provide scholarships for music lessons, and build community music centers in underserved areas. He pledged to personally match the first $1 million raised. The response was overwhelming. Within days, millions poured in. Celebrities inspired by his sincerity joined the cause, retweeting his messages and donating generously. Fans started their own local fundraisers, sharing their progress on social media with the hashtag #KingsCadetsOfSound. It was a movement spearheaded by a man who had seemingly returned from the dead to remind the world of the power of art and generosity. He hosted digital jam sessions on his Instagram Live, inviting young aspiring musicians to join him for a virtual duet. He'd sing a line and they'd sing the next, their faces filled with awe and disbelief. He wasn't just fundraising, he was inspiring the next generation directly. He also used his platform to speak on issues close to his heart: faith, mental health, and the importance of family. He shared his own struggles with loneliness and the pressures of fame, making him even more relatable. "I know what it's like to feel lost, even when you're surrounded by millions." He once posted, "It's okay to not be okay. Reach out, talk to someone. Your voice matters. Pound mental health matters. Pound you are not alone." This honesty resonated deeply with a generation grappling with unprecedented levels of anxiety and depression. He became a beacon of hope and understanding. He also found ways to honor the people who had been part of his journey. He'd post old photos of his band members, his dear friends, sharing personal memories and giving them credit for their contributions. He used his platform to lift others up, not just himself. He even found a few old musicians online, long retired, and publicly thanked them, leading to heartwarming reunions in the comments section and sometimes private messages. One day he got a message from an old friend, a session musician he hadn't seen in decades. The man, now in his late 80s, had seen Elvis's return on the news and found his social media. Their online reunion, a series of heartfelt video calls that Elvis later shared snippets of, with permission, brought tears to millions of eyes. It was a testament to enduring friendship and the power of the internet to bridge time and distance. His social media wasn't just a place for him to share. It was a community. His followers, old and new, felt a personal connection to him. He fostered an environment of kindness and mutual respect in his comments sections, often replying to thoughtful messages himself. He truly listened. He became more than just a musical legend. He became a global icon of wisdom, philanthropy, and genuine human connection. The internet hadn't just resurrected Elvis Presley. It had transformed him into an even more powerful force for good, touching lives in ways the young king could never have imagined. He was truly living his purpose, not just entertaining, but enriching the world. One post, one kind word, one heartfelt story at a time, and the world was listening. The unexpected return of Elvis Presley and his masterful navigation of social media ignited a new creative spark in him. For decades, music had been a private solace, a hummed melody in the quiet of his home. Now, with the world's ears attuned to his digital voice, he felt an undeniable urge to create new sounds. He didn't want to simply rehash his old hits or try to sound like the young king. He was an older man now, with a lifetime of experience, pain, and wisdom. His music needed to reflect that. He envisioned something fresh, something that blended his timeless roots with contemporary sounds, a bridge between generations. He started quietly in his home studio, which Lily had helped him set up. He experimented with different instruments, different styles. He wrote lyrics that were more reflective, more spiritual, more about the human condition than teenage love. He recorded snippets of new melodies, often just his voice and an acoustic guitar, and posted them on his Instagram, calling them Midnight Musings. The reaction was immense. Fans clamored for more. Younger artists, many of whom had been inspired by his classic work, reached out. The direct messages flooded in. "Mr. Presley, I'm a huge fan. I love your new sound. Your voice is still golden, sir. Would you ever consider collaborating?" The idea of collaboration intrigued him. It was something he hadn't really done in his younger years, always being the singular star. But now he saw the beauty in blending voices, in creating something new with artists from different backgrounds. His first collaboration was with a young, critically acclaimed folk pop singer-joker named Maya Lin. She was known for her soulful voice and poignant lyrics, often blending traditional American sounds with modern electronic elements. She had publicly expressed her admiration for Elvis on her social media, often covering his lesser-known gospel songs. Elvis reached out to her directly through an Instagram DM, a message that Maya initially thought was a hoax. "MS. Lynn," he wrote, "I've been admiring your work for some time. Your voice has a timeless quality that truly moves me. I have a song I've been working on, a ballad, about enduring hope in working on a ballad." They worked remotely at first, sending audio files back and forth, refining lyrics and melodies. It was a unique modern way of making music, one that fascinated Elvis. He learned about digital audio workstations, about mixing and mastering, absorbing it all with a keen, curious mind. The song they created was titled "Sunrise Over Graceland," a hauntingly beautiful ballad that spoke of dawn after darkness, of finding light after loss. It featured Elvis's deeper, more mature voice, rich with emotion, perfectly intertwined with Maya Lin's ethereal harmonies. The instrumentation was sparse, modern, yet subtly infused with a gospel-tinged piano line, when Sunrise over Graceland was released. It broke the internet again. It was a reinvention. Critics praised its depth and sincerity, calling it a masterpiece of cross-generational collaboration. Topped digital charts worldwide, proving that Elvis's artistry was timeless, capable of evolving and resonating with a new generation. The success of Sunrise over Graceland opened the floodgates. Other artists from rock to hip-hop expressed interest. He collaborated with a Grammy-winning gospel choir on a powerful rendition of Amazing Grace, blending their majestic voices with his raw, heartfelt delivery. He even worked with a young blues guitarist from the Mississippi Delta on an electrifying, stripped-down blues track that reminded everyone of his early Sun records. Raw energy. His new music wasn't just about making hits. It was about creating art that truly mattered, that spoke to the soul. He used his new songs to promote his King's Cadets of Sound initiative, donating all proceeds from his new music to the fund. He hosted listening parties on Spotify Live, where he'd play his new songs, talk about the inspiration behind them, and answer fan questions. He shared behind-the-scenes videos of his recording process, showing the simple joy he found in creation. He demystified the legend, showing himself as an artist who is still learning, still growing, still passionate about music. His online presence fostered a unique blend of nostalgia and innovation. Old fans were thrilled to hear his voice again, albeit matured on new material. Younger fans, who had only known the historical Elvis, discovered a contemporary artist who was relevant, authentic, and inspiring. He bridged the gap between generations, showing that good music born from the heart transcends time. He often spoke about his journey, his time in the shadows, and how it had shaped his music. "I had to lose my voice for a while to find a new one," he'd say in interviews. "Quiet taught me things I could never have learned in the spotlight. And now, I just want to share that. Share the peace, share the hope, share the music that flows from it." His social media became a vibrant testament to his creative revival. It wasn't just about the icon, it was about the artist. And the world embraced this new, evolved Elvis with open arms, ready for every new note, every new collaboration, every new step in his extraordinary, unexpected second act. King was not just back. He was reimagined, more profound and more appeal than ever before. Elvis Presley's return and his embrace of the internet sent ripples across the globe, reaching corners of the world that even his original fame hadn't touched as directly. In his younger years, communication was limited to print, radio, and television. Now, with a single post, he could connect with someone in Tokyo, Cairo, or Rio de Janeiro instantly. His social media wasn't just a platform. It became a global town square. People from diverse cultures, united by their love for his music or their admiration for his inspiring story, gathered in his comment sections, sharing their own life experiences. He translated his messages into multiple languages, reaching out to non-English speaking fans, directly, a simple gesture that garnered immense appreciation. He started a weekly Global Gratitude series on his Instagram, where he'd share a photo or video sent in by a fan from a different country, along with a message of thanks and unity. One week, it would be a fan in India playing "Can't Help Falling in Love" on a sitar. The next, a group in Germany doing a flash mob dance to Jailhouse Rock. It was a beautiful tapestry of human connection, woven by the threads of his influence. His global impact wasn't just about his music or his past fame. It was about his message. He spoke tirelessly about peace, understanding, and the shared humanity that connected everyone, regardless of borders or beliefs. He became an unexpected ambassador of goodwill. His simple, heartfelt words, cutting through the noise of tensions. He often reflected on his life, on how different things were now. Now, with this internet, it's like the world has shrunk and every single soul is right here, connected, sharing. It's a humbling thing. He spoke about his personal journey, about the darkness he had faced, and how he found his way back to the light. He didn't sugarcoat his past struggles with addiction or the overwhelming pressures of fame, but he always framed them as lessons learned, as part of a path toward spiritual growth. This honesty resonated deeply with people everywhere who saw not just a legend, but a survivor, a testament to resilience. One day, a young student from a remote village in Africa messaged him, explaining how his music had inspired him to pursue his dream of becoming a doctor. Often studying late into the night with Elvis's ballads, playing softly, Elvis shared his story, praising his dedication and encouraging him to keep pushing forward. The student's story, shared by Elvis, went viral, raising awareness for his village and inspiring others to support education in rural communities. He also used his platform to address misinformation, a pervasive problem in the digital age. When false rumors or negative stories about him or others spread, he would calmly and respectfully counter them with facts, or simply with a message of forgiveness and understanding. He became a voice of reason, demonstrating how to use the internet for positive discourse. He rarely looked back with regret, but rather with acceptance. Every step, every stumble, every triumph he once posted, they all led me to where I am today. And I wouldn't trade that journey for anything, but love is the answer always. His legacy, once defined by his groundbreaking music, his iconic performances, and his revolutionary style, was now expanding. He wasn't just the king of rock and roll, he was a king of connection, a king of compassion, a king for the digital age. He was showing the world that legends don't just exist in history books. They can walk among us, learn from their past, and use their influence to make the present a better place. He truly understood the profound power of his online presence. It wasn't about fame for fame's sake anymore. It was about touching lives, fostering kindness, inspiring dreams, and uniting a fragmented world. He had found a new purpose, a deeper meaning to his extraordinary life. And in doing so, he solidified his place, not just in music history, but in the hearts of a global community forever. He was Elvis reimagined, a beacon of hope for generations to come. As the years passed, Elvis Presley's online presence evolved into something truly unique, far beyond just an individual's social media feed. It became a living, breathing community, a digital Graceland, built not of bricks and mortar, but of shared stories, empathy, and enduring connection. Continued his daily posts, his midnight musings, his gospel and grub sessions, his collaborations, but he also started curating content from his followers. He would often spotlight an aspiring artist who covered one of his songs with particular passion, or a fan who used his music to overcome a personal challenge. His platform wasn't just about him. It was about amplifying the good in the world, recognizing the beauty in others. His King's Cadets of Sound initiative grew exponentially, becoming a global non-profit organization. He would host telethons on YouTube Live, inviting celebrities, musicians, and ordinary people to share their stories of how music had impacted their lives, interspersed with performances and updates on the music programs the fund was supporting. These events weren't just fundraisers. They were celebrations of music and community, watched by millions worldwide. Graceland, the physical mansion, saw a new surge of visitors, many of whom were young people who had discovered Elvis through his social media and wanted to experience the roots of the legend. Elvis himself, now occasionally making carefully managed public appearances at charity events, would sometimes record short videos from different parts of the mansion, sharing personal anecdotes about growing up there, turning the historic site into an even more intimate, living museum. He never used his return for personal gain, instead directing all profits from his new music, merchandise, and digital content towards his charitable foundation. He lived a comfortable, private life, but one that was deeply intertwined with his digital community. He often spoke about the beauty of technology when used for good. This internet, he'd say with a twinkle in his eye, it's a powerful tool. It can divide, sure, but it can also connect us, remind us that we're all part of the same human family. It's up to us to use it to build bridges, not walls. His social media became a model for positive online engagement. His comment sections were remarkably free of the usual negativity, largely due to his consistent message of love and respect. He cultivated a digital space where kindness was the norm and where people genuinely uplifted each other on his anniversaries, not of his death, but of his return. His followers would organize digital gatherings where they'd share their favorite Elvis memories, his new music, or stories of how he had touched their lives. It was a global celebration of a life rediscovered and the legacy redefined. He had lived a life of extraordinary fame, then extraordinary privacy, and then, in his later years, an extraordinary digital presence. He was a testament to resilience, adaptation, and the enduring power of a kind heart. He proved that true legends don't fade. They find new ways to shine, new stages to touch lives. In his final years, his social media was less about grand announcements and more about quiet wisdom. He'd post a simple photo of a sunset with a caption like, "Another day, another blessing. Find the beauty in the small moments, folks. That's where the true joy resides. Pound gratitude. Pound life is good." His followers, spanning multiple generations, cherished every post. He wasn't just Elvis Presley anymore. He was a beloved digital elder, a comforting presence, a voice of reason and hope in a complex world. When he finally passed away peacefully in his sleep, the outpouring of grief was immense, but it was also profoundly different from the first time. There was sadness, yes, but also a deep sense of gratitude. The world had had him back. They had seen him, heard him, connected with him, not just as a legend from a bygone era, but as a wise, loving, and very real human being. His social media accounts, once so vibrant and active, became a living memorial. Fans continued to post to share his old videos. To quote his wise words, "The community he had built remained strong, a testament to the bridges he had forged across time and technology." His digital graceland lived on a place where his spirit continued to inspire, to connect, and to remind everyone that the King's greatest gift was not just his music, but his enduring heart. He had shown the world that even in the most unexpected of circumstances, a quiet, simple man could still shake up the world, one post, one story, one shared moment of kindness at a time. And in doing so, Elvis Presley cemented his legacy, not just as a king, but as a truly timeless icon of connection and hope.